through the lot, now you know I'm coming through. When the growth look good on you, best believe they wanna screw now. I've been trying to climb, devil threw me in the dark. Baby, don't be insecure, you can still go make a mark like wow. Could never let them drain my soul now. Wow. Table turning like doorknobs, wow. Wow. I think I'm about to fix sale. I'm a walking, living legend, walking with my chest now. Life keep dealing me cards.
Yes. Paul is G, and you know what time it is. You know what it is. We're back in the building today. We are back with some good little insight, man. Good little insight into two players who performed fantastically well yesterday. You know, and that is Pedri and Gavi. Both of Spain, who got off to an absolute flyer of a start at the World Cup, beating Costa Rica 7-0. Now, before we even dive into that, guys, please make sure that you like, make sure that you share, make sure that you subscribe to GTV. I'll be bringing you guys some more content throughout the World Cup. Stay tuned for tomorrow's preview of England's game against the USA. Make sure you share with your mama, your mama's mama, your mama's mama's mama, your auntie, your uncle, the whole nine. But let's dive into it, man. As I said, today I'm taking a look at these two warriors, and that is Pedri and Gavi of Spain. So let's take a little look at this here. Look at that, guys. I mean, Xavi, Iniesta, you know, Sergio, and the reason why we've got Sergio Busquets in the back there is because when you guys think of a trio in that Spain midfield, you can't think of a trio without Busquets. 2010, look at that picture in the middle. 2010, this guy was winning the World Cup with his compatriots, was winning the World Cup with arguably two of the best midfielders of this generation, in Xavi and Iniesta. Iniesta, one of my, if not my favorite midfielder of all time. You know, brilliant midfielder. And now he's going into the 2022 World Cup with Pedri and Gavi of, guess who? Barcelona, La Masia. You know, it's definitely testament to Sergio Busquets for being able to be a part of, you know, the squad for so long. You know, whilst other players have obviously retired and, you know, dropped out and things like that. I mean, he's being managed currently at Barcelona by, you know, a former teammate, you know, in Xavi. So, you know, it is testament to him, and he's obviously looking to pick up World Cup number 2. If he can do that, you know, this year, that will be some achievement, you know, to be able to have won it with Xavi and Iniesta, and then to potentially then win it with Pedri and Gavi. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing, man. But look, it's just a quick one. I kind of wanted to just quickly speak on, you know, the fact that these two, listen, it's Costa Rica. You know, they've clearly shown, you know, by getting beat 7-0 that they're clearly not a very good team, shall we say. Clearly they were not organized enough. Even when they were in the press, and we'll see in certain little bits here, you know, it just wasn't really not really enough intensity, to be honest with you. And when you're playing against a team like Spain, if you're not really at it and you're not really intense enough, it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. Do you know what I mean? So I feel that, like, they had a game plan. They tried to set up with a 4-4-2 up against Spain's 4-3-3. But when you set up with a 4-4-2 against the 4-3-3, once your wingers / fullbacks, once they get pinned back, there's no one else in the middle. You're caught with 2, while the other team is going to have 3, potentially 4. If you then think of the striker who's then going to drop in, so it's going to cause some issues, to be honest with you. But look, we'll take a quick look. This is Gavi right here. Oh, and Pedri as well. So I'll put the two. So on the left-hand side is Gavi, and on the right-hand side is Pedri. When you look here, I mean, Pedri only played for 57 minutes anyway, right? So clearly not that long, but the game was already won, obviously, you know, by that point. So of course he wasn't going to play, you know, that long. But Gavi played obviously full 90 minutes. He was instrumental in the team's win, to be honest with you. Got himself a goal as well, no assist. Look at the accurate passes, by the way. And I want you to look at Pedri's because his is on the right hand side. So they've highlighted who's obviously done better out of the two in the two statistics. So obviously Gavi with the more minutes played. So he's highlighted goals. Obviously he's highlighted no assist for either player. Look at accurate passes, please. Look at the accurate passes. By the way, guys, as you can see, Pedri only played 57 minutes of the game. Gavi played a full 90. Now, this isn't to discredit Gavi at all. 67 out of 74 with a 91% accurate pass rate. But look at Pedri, though. Look at Pedri, though. 86 out of 89. That means he misplaced 3 passes in the whole game. 97% accuracy. Absolutely crazy. He created more chances. Now, obviously, to me, the way I kind of, look at the two players is I feel like Pedri is the Iniesta of the two and Gavi is the Xavi, to be honest with you. I think Pedri is more attacking, very, very good dribbler of the ball. They both are, but, Pedri's a very good dribbler of the ball. They're both press resistant, but Pedri is very press resistant, can get himself out of, these tight spaces. Even when he does get into these tight spaces, he's able to, he's got the IQ to allow him to pick a pass anyway. So, for me, Pedri is the Iniesta and Gavi is the Xavi. Look, shot accuracy, obviously, Gavi with his beautifully taken goal, expected assists. Pedri wins in that regards, but again, expected goals on target, expected goals and things like that. But that I wanted to show this because I was baffled. I didn't understand how you make 89 passes and your 86 of those are accurate. These times you only played 57 minutes. That's absolutely crazy. And when you look at the heat map of Pedri, this is a guy who's getting about the pitch. Do you get what I mean? Again, in that left central midfield position, he's getting up and down that field. But you can see predominantly he's not even. Again, what I love about these two, and we'll show you Gavi's one in a minute because it's basically reminiscent just on the other side. When you look at the heat map, look at where the main position is. It's just above the center circle on the left hand side, literally just a bit to the left. North, shall we say, northwest of that center circle. That's their main position, and those are the positions that they're taking up on the field. Look at Gavi's. His on the right hand side, that is a midfield two that you would absolutely love to have. You'd absolutely love to have. Especially if you're able to get like a very, very good 6, someone who can just hold the position, pick up the ball when needed, pop it off when needed, etc., etc. Oh, it's amazing to have those two. Obviously, again, good guys. Look, I don't want to wax too lyrical. I'm going to anyway because I love these two players, and I'm a Barcelona fan. Have been since Rivaldo days, and players of that kind of ilk. Mark Overmars and things like that. But I'm kind of showing my age there. But when you look at Barcelona, I've just been so intrigued by them. When I see players, coming up through La Masia, and I'm basically seeing the Xavi and Iniesta regen, who, they're my two favorite midfielders of all time, especially Iniesta. I'm seeing it now in 2022. It is quite amazing, to be honest with you. And another thing is, in 2020 in the Euros, Pedri was the youngest Spanish player to appear in a tournament. In the 2022 World Cup, Gavi is now the youngest player to appear, for Spain, in the tournament. It's kind of poetic, if I'm being totally honest with you. We take a look here. I think we should take a look at these stats here. Tackles won. Obviously, Gavi will be on the left-hand side. Pedri's on the right-hand side. So Pedri made 2 tackles, didn't win any, unfortunately. None of them won any tackles. So that clearly shows you that let's put you this way, guys. They couldn't go into Liverpool's midfield effectively because we need midfielders who could obviously, at least tackle, I guess. But if you do look at the recoveries, Gavi did recover the ball 5 times, Pedri 3 times. Pedri never got dribble past once. So again, that shows you this is someone who, give the ball to him. Give the ball to him and he'll be able to get you out of positions. But he's also got the defensive nous or defensive awareness to be able to put himself in positions whereby he isn't going to get dribbled past anyway. So again, not too bad in that kind of regard, but that's kind of like the defensive side of their game. But I guess when they're not really that defensive, to be honest with you. You know, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. As I said, this is the kind of midfield that I love to see. Get your six. He should be the intense one, as you know, as Pep loves to say. He should be the one that's in there, you know, potentially doing the doggy work, so to speak. Gavi, out of the two, is probably the one who's going to, as you can see, make the most recoveries in that midfield, because he's just that kind of play. He's a bit of a pit bull in there, to be honest with you, but he's a pit bull with a lot more style, in my personal opinion. You look at the attack. Successful dribbles, none for either guys. Both got 92 touches. Passes into the final third. Pedri with 15, Gavi with 8. You know, accurate long balls. You know, Pedri with 4 out of 5, 80%. You know, Pedri was never dispossessed. Gavi probably would be, just because of the type of player he is. He's someone who, as I said, he's a bit of a pit bull in there. So he will try and win that ball back. But, you know, in trying to probably win that ball back, there is going to be a few times where he is going to lose it. So, unfortunately, there, you know, he's put himself in a catch-22, to be honest with you, you know. And you look at the ground duels, 1, Pedri, 2 out of 2, 100%. Gavi, again, 6 out of 11. Again, someone who gets himself, puts himself about aerial duels, you know. For someone so small, how the hell is he winning an aerial duel at all, to be honest with you? You know, that in itself is funny. No fouls committed for, by Pedri. And Gavi was fouled, you know, 5 times. Again, you know, that's just the stats wise of things. Again, I know people like their numbers. I know people like to look at it from an analytical point of view, which again you should be doing. You look at the two hand in hand. If you're able to have watched the game and not just look at the stats, then you know you would have seen for yourself, you know, exactly what type of player, you know, both of these guys are. But even when we take a look here, look at the two players here. So this is when Spain have obviously got possession of the ball. You can see the centre back's just about to pass it out to Jordi Alba. Look at the 3 midfielders. You know, where it says 8v6, just on top of that is Sergio Busquets. To the right of him is going to be Gavi, and to the left is going to be Pedri. So as you can see, reality is the next pass is obviously going to Jordi Alba. Now, once that next pass goes to Jordi Alba, without, you know, I haven't got the play button, for example, to be able to actually show you genuinely. If you look at it like this, for example, now just use your imagination. You either can pass it to number 21, I believe, is that Olmo? Olmo, I believe. But whoever that is on that left-hand side, or what you can do is you can either give it to Sergio Busquets in the middle, or what's going to happen is that player next to Pedri is going to come out to you anyway, because he's going to try and block the passing lane to that left winger or to the inside, depending on which way, you know, Jordi Alba's body shape is. So let's say he takes Busquets out of that equation, for example, and decides to focus down that left-hand channel. He can either pass it to the left winger, which probably would be an easier pass, or Pedri will then be open. Once Pedri's open, Pedri can do one of two things. Either he goes back to Busquets, or he turns and he's into Asensio. But now Spain can get playing, and Spain can, you know, inevitably keep the ball. Here's another passage of play here. Again, highlighting the 3 midfielders. As you can see, Sergio Busquets is highlighted in that middle. He is very pivotal to that midfield 3 in order for the 2 other players, Pedri and Gavi, to get space in that midfield to be able to dominate. So as you can see here, the ball's going to go from left centre back to right centre back. Once it hits right centre back, now again, he's going to have 2 options. Sergio Busquets is going to show for the ball in this passage of play. The reason why he's going to do that is because it then gives the right centre back enough options to be able to say, either I give it to the right winger and then Sergio Busquets will then come inside and move further up the field, or I give it to Sergio Busquets and then he can pop it, potentially play it back, you know, to the other centre back. So again, it's Sergio Busquets, for someone who's in his 30s now and probably his last dance at a World Cup, you know, he's showing how pivotal he still is within a Spain midfield, even though Spain have now, you know, would I say evolved, so to speak, you know, kind of thing, in terms of they've obviously moved away from Xavi and Iniesta. You know, if you look at their team, it's almost like a 2.0. Because they are still using the same fundamentals. Obviously, Luis Enrique as the manager there. So they're going to still have some of the same principles that they did have anyway back in that 2010, you know, World Cup win. But at the same time, they are using different types of players. For example, when they had Cesc Fabregas, who's a midfielder by trade, but he was up front in that false nine position. They've got Asensio in up front. So Asensio, again, is a winger attacker, but they're using him as a false nine instead. So yes, still using the same kind of formula, but different type of players in there. And obviously they still had, Alvaro Morata on the bench anyway. So of course they were able to function with that. But this is just to show how important. And again, as I said, in this kind of passage of play, you've got Pedri on that left-hand side. Gavi's still there. So again, from what I can potentially see here, left centre back to right centre back's going to pass it out to the right back, who can then still play up the wings. But as you can see, Sergio Busquets can still show for it. Gavi is now in play. Gavi can now show for it. So the two players, man, is like, I love watching these two kind of players play. Like, I just love watching the movement that they do on the pitch, if I'm being totally honest with you. But, and again, when we look at this little last graph here, as I said, look, right centre back's got the ball. He passed it out to the to the right back, should I say? Sorry, I think that was Azpilicueta. Azpilicueta gets the ball. What does he do? He passes it into Sergio Busquets. What is Busquets able to do? Busquets is able to turn, bang. Now everybody's in play now. Do you get what I mean? Like, everybody's in play. Everybody's able to now move forward with the ball, and then Spain are on the attack. And to be honest, that was just a common theme from Spain yesterday, to be honest with you, in their dominating 7-0 win. But the two players, Gavi and Pedri, Gavi won the Golden Ball? I don't know what they Golden Ball, the Golden Boy award. So the best under 21 player of the year. I still think, and I will say that, even though I'm waxing lyrical about the two players, I still personally think Jude or Musiala were the two better players over the course of the season, to be honest with you. That's just my personal opinion. Not to say that Gavi wasn't fantastic over that season for someone so young as well, 18. Yeah, he would have been 17 last season. But I just think that one of those two should have won it, to be honest with you. And I think the general consensus is that one of those two probably should have won it. I'm going to lean more towards Musiala, just more out of biasness, because he's my, one of my favorite youngsters. But, you're talking Jamal Musiala, Jude Bellingham, Gavi, Pedri. It's going to be amazing to see, in the future, what type of, how these youngsters really develop, to be honest with you. We're entering into that kind of new phase of midfielders. We're entering into that 2.0 of some of these midfielders. When you look at someone like Jude Bellingham, there's references to Steven Gerrard. So the fact that we're seeing, Xavi and Iniesta 2.0, and then we're seeing Steven Gerrard potentially 2.0, Musiala is probably the only one I'm sitting there thinking, what kind of player do you kind of remind me of? But I kind of like that, the fact that we don't really know. That's probably why I like him quite a lot, because he's a bit of an enigma. We don't really know what kind of player, he's going to turn out to be, and things like that. So again, look, it's brilliant to watch some of these youngsters. There's so many more youngsters, to see throughout this World Cup. We haven't even finished the first round of fixtures, to be honest with you. So there's going to be a lot more players that we still need to see. There's going to be, a few more players that, after they've had their first game, let's see what they're like in game 2. At the moment, Spain and England are head and shoulders above everybody else. We're seeing, a lot of shock results. Obviously, Argentina losing, Germany losing today against a very good, against a very good Japan side. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see, for the rest of the World Cup. Guys, make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button for all the videos. We're on the road to 150 now. 150 subscribers. So guys, please make sure you're hitting that like. Please make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. And I'll be back tomorrow with an England preview for their game against the US of A. I'm G, and you know what time it is, man. I'm out.